Hi everybody, I'm hoping this is all working okay. Um, I know that my sister was having a bit of trouble viewing this. She wasn't managing to get in with her password, so I'm not sure who's watching and who's not, but I'm hoping that some way, somehow you're all going to be here. Um, so I wasn't too sure what I was going to bring to you this evening. I've had a really busy week. Um, I've made time for my meditations, but I've still felt quite flustered, and I think it's just because I've not been doing my meditations the way that I normally do. Um, I normally get just a wee bit of time in the morning to myself to do some meditation, whether it's the Kundalini or TM, but um, my husband's been out early every morning, so I've been doing my meditations with the girls there, and it does still make a huge difference to my day, but I don't quite feel I've had that same level of sort of the big exhale that I normally sort of feel. So, as seems to be a trend right now, I've got the baby monitor here because Noah is she's got a wee touch of the cold and she was still wide awake about 25 minutes ago. So I've not heard anything. So hopefully we're okay, we're safe. Um, so I know that there's a mum watching this evening called Ruby, and I know that your baby's due any time. So I had looked out this, which is one of my favourite mum books. I don't know if you can see that. It's called The Tao of Motherhood, and it's just full of gorgeous little short passages on all different kinds of things, not just to do with parenting really, but just life in general. Um, and this is the gift that I give to all my friends when they either become pregnant or once they've had their baby. And I have read so many parenting books, and I think as a first time mum, you do, and Google loads of things as well. But I just feel like for me, I wish I had found this first because to me it just sort of it reminds you as a mother that it all sort of starts and ends with you. So I picked two wee bits out for you, Ruby, that I was just going to read to you. So the first one, which I love, is this one, Clarity, and I've actually quoted a bit of it in the first vlog that I did for She for the Wilds, and it says, "Strive for clarity in your own life. What motivates your feelings? We often live out the past over and over in our relationships. We sometimes fail to see the real child, for we have superimposed our own pain upon our child. Clear yourself, find the child within you, heal her, and set her free. As long as the child in you weeps and cringes, your power as a mother will remain confused. Polish the mirror of the self, and your child will see herself more clearly." Now, that was one of the first, um, in fact, that was the first quote that brought me to the Tao of Motherhood, this final piece here: polish the mirror of the self, and your child will see herself more clearly. And it's just such a vast concept because it's all about us and coming to terms with who we are and getting really clear about who we are so that our children need or never need feel um, confused by us. You know, we're capable of being a bit more consistent. And of course, this is a serious work in progress. I guess we all bring our own childhoods into parenthood, and that in itself is a big thing. It really does bring up all of your historic stuff, and very often, um, how you feel you've been parented doesn't always work for you as a parent. You like, I definitely know that I wanted to go down a different route as a parent, there was things that I really wanted to do differently, and that can be a great thing, but it can also bring a lot of pressure and a lot of perfectionism. So there's a lot to be said for just really coming back to yourself and getting really clear about what feels good to you and who you really are. Um, and I just love that quote there. The other one is, so that one's really about you as a mother, about any of us as mothers. But it so relates to just every human relationship, I guess, when we um, polish the mirror of the self, when we can see ourselves clearly, when we can truly know who we are and what we stand for, um, life does feel a lot easier. It certainly does for me, and I've come into that like in a much more powerful way over even the last month, because there's been really big shifts in my family dynamic, and I guess um, it lets you see who you really are and who you've been all these years. So I think it's just a wonderful thing to bear in mind, and I think as a new mum, we always kind of get a bit lost in just how intense the whole experience is. And it's quite incredible because second time round for me, I have sort of been shocked by how easy the things are that I found so difficult first time round. But of course, it's because um, you had to go through the intensity of that before it could ever feel like something that's sort of easeful. Um, it's sort of like a rite of passage. You've kind of got to go through it and feel how tough it is before you taste the sweetness. Um, but the other one that I wanted to share with you was, it's called The Particular, and it's be open to your child's individual needs and expression. One child needs stimulation, the next needs quiet. One needs to be carried all the time, another likes to play nearby with the freedom to extend his limbs. A wise mother knows there is no good child and no bad child, there is only this child. Um, and that is one of my favourites because life and family and society and nursery and school and friends, the whole, everything outside of your dynamic with your child, everybody will have a sense of who they think your child is, a sense of who they think you are as a mother, a parent, and it can be really intimidating, I guess, with the weight of expectation, because we all get a sense of what's expected of us and what's expected of our children. And it can be really, really difficult when we have a child who's um, more willful than the average, or louder than the average, or um, quieter than the average, shyer than the average. Everything becomes a sort of something to pass comment on, and it's really strange to me actually, because we don't tend to do it so like irresponsibly as people, as adults. Um, we don't draw attention to what we think people's sort of quirks or flaws are, not to them anyway, and not generally directly. It's normally quite indirect, but with children, we can be quite quick to see that they're shy or, whatever. So I think those two things were things that I wanted to share with you. But anyway, I thought we could come together and just get into our meditation. I don't know who of you have been practicing this alternate nostril breathing, and if you've been doing it every day or if you've just been doing it whenever you feel like you need it. That's all good. So I've been doing this every day on top of another meditation that I'm currently doing. And I still really love this one, and I love that it's the one that we're all doing together as our first. So we'll come together and bring our hands together and just rub them together so that we can feel some heat between our palms. And we'll bring our hands to our heart center, and we can just bring our head down ever so slightly, eyes closed, And take a nice deep breath in through the nose and back out through the nose. And we'll breathe in through the nose and back out through the nose. And then we'll inhale to begin. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Okay, so we'll just bring our hands into Gyan Mudra. Just remember that my phone's on, not on silent, so I'm just sorting that out. Left hand into Gyan Mudra on your left knee. And then we're going to take our thumb to our right nostril and inhale deeply and slowly through the left. And exhale through the right. And back in through the right. Exhale through the left. And we can inhale Sat. And exhale Nam. Inhale Sat. Exhale Nam. And we'll just do this silently for the next couple of minutes. Last couple of breaths. Last exhale. Now when you've done that, you can just bring both hands into Gyan Mudra and put them on your knees. We're just going to sit in this space for a few moments. And now just bring your hands back into prayer pose. And you can say or sing the final blessing. So, to someone that you love or to someone who needs your love, we can sing. May the long time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. And to yourself, you say, may the long time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. And to the world we sing, may the long time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on, guide your way on, guide your way on. Satnam. And then we just bow down to the infinite wisdom within us and around us. So that feels a bit nicer. I always seem to get a bit of a sort of, I couldn't even call it a headache just on the lead up, but I think because I'm aware that I'm trying to get so much sort of into alignment before I actually sit down with you, um, it always feels a bit slightly out of body for me, and I really like to root in and feel what I'm feeling. But just before I came on there, I decided to make my favourite drink, this here that's waiting for me. I don't know if you can see the colour. It's all starting to separate actually. And this is called Golden Milk, and it's something that I drink every evening. But if I'm feeling like I need some comfort, something warm and a bit sort of richer than just normal tea, this is what I make, and it's made with coconut milk, um, and turmeric, and then we add some almond milk on top, and then sometimes I put a wee cardamom pod in there just to give it some extra flavour, which is really nice. So I'm hoping it's going to be safe enough to drink now because it was really boiling. It's still quite hot. And I've got a wee bit of honey in there to taste. And actually, I was going to give you the recipe, but the book that it's in, I have left downstairs in the kitchen. So I'll maybe share, I'll pop it up actually on the video for once this isn't live. I'll pop it up underneath, and if you want to have a go making it, you can. It's one of my favourites. Favorite that one. So I was going to read another little bit from Circle of Stones. I just tend to go with what I open at. Of I tend to pull everything together in the afternoon, in a Friday afternoon. I always go out for girls in the morning, and then I come back, and Noah goes down normally for about an hour or so, and that's when I let Robin pick something out to watch, and then it means that I can sit down and just have to think about what I want to do in the evening with you all. So I opened today at this page, which is A Sense of Her Need, and I just thought I would read it to you again because I really love this. It's a woman talking about basically healing herself. So I'll just begin. It starts, if a woman is caught in overextended lifestyle and achievement-orientated values, depression or illness may offer the only opportunity to allow her to be with herself. As she ignores her own needs for quiet and self-nurture, the voice of the deeper self may call through depression. If a woman cannot let herself hear her own needs, but continues to adhere fearfully to a lifestyle that denies her inner growth and deepening, the voice of the self may manifest in physical illness as the only uh, as the only possible way to force her to take time to be with herself. The more she is trapped in a competitive mode, the more likely the inner voice will manifest at the physical level. It will be heard. The fears a woman may have before leaving the competitive mode may rage for a long time and make her defend dogmatically the activities that at a deeper part of her already dimly senses are harming her. As she struggles towards a new choice, she may not know where to turn for support. A woman speaks of her experience with illness. Part of what kept me in the professional world for so long was fear of what my women friends would say if I quit. They were all successful in their fields and disapproved copping out for any reason. When they were sick, they were worse than any male boss and expecting themselves to overcome, like drill sergeants, even with their children. How harmful is the old slogan, look like a woman, think like a man, work like a horse? We expect ourselves always to be Amazons, with all the emphasis on achieving, on appearing all right, rather than on the basic stuff of life, the sense of protectedness and safety, the warmth, nurture, caring that we all so desperately need. I was most afraid of what my mother would say. She hadn't had the educational opportunity she wanted. I despaired being a failure in her eyes, or the eyes of my women friends. I solved the problem for myself by getting cancer. It wasn't that I needed a free afternoon occasionally, as friends suggested. My whole life had to change. It needed to be claimed for myself, all of it. I needed to stop living my life in bondage, stealing furtive moments here and there to be. My fear of not being seen as a successful died hard only when I faced a second time with losing my life could I begin to care for it and for my right to live it enough to really claim it for myself in ways I didn't know anything about. Every part of my life had to change, most importantly, the way I treated myself. The way we women treat ourselves is shocking. Working long hours, rushing to the market, driving home in traffic. You sometimes see a woman slap her child in the supermarket. Always the weakest and most vulnerable take the punishment. The advertising and the inner pressure to compete goad us. A long work day, then barging into the kitchen, food processor, microwave, all the machines roaring at once. What a shame. A loaf of bread that might have been quietly kneaded and left to rise in the sunshine by the kitchen window. Now it's slammed out by machine after the woman has worked all day and before she goes to an evening meeting. In that early life, I was always proving that I could. It is as if my cells couldn't stand the way I was living. They demanded that my whole life change. I see how separated I was from myself. I didn't know anymore what I needed or how to live. I took myself completely for granted and assumed I knew, like a mother sometimes treats her child, thinking she's a wonderful mother, assuming she knows what's best, never giving the child time to feel or choose or speak. At first, I just sat around in a state of shock, staring at the wall. There wasn't energy for anything but the special diet and what needed to be done right there and then to stay alive. Looking back, that was the only way to start, to just stare at the wall. Finally, my life slowed down enough to let the assumptions that had driven it all those years fall away. I began to take care of my body, my tired cells, and I slept. I let myself sleep for the first time in my adult life. Sometimes, when the old guilt would nag me, I would imagine the voice of a kindly old nurse I once knew saying, there, dear, you just wrap yourself up in this old quilt and have a nap. And I did, in front of the fireplace, lying in the winter sun. Now I take walks and sit in the garden. Now there is time. I listen to my inner child and my outer little girl. They are both happier. Now we all may live. Illness forces one to care for oneself at the most elemental level, that of matter, that of matter itself. In illness, no choice remains but to care for the body, to be caring to the cells. In illness, finally, comes permission to rest, permission to treat with love and kindness the base matter of one's own body. I could move only so slowly, only a few steps at a time. I would spend long hours sitting in a chair. There was a comforter over my legs. I cared about that comforter. It was important to me. I needed it. It was light blue with a little white flower design, frayed at the top edge, near the row of cloth buttons. It was heavy and warm, and it tucked snugly around my legs into the big chair. I sat at the window by the garden, watching the birds at the feeder. We had a simple relationship, the birds and I. They ate, I watched. Time passed. In the afternoon, late, the light changed. I watched the bare tree branches. The wind dropped. Everything was quite still, darker. It had been a long time since I had watched a star come out. So that's that whole passage there. So it was quite long actually. um, and this whole idea about having a sense of what we need is something that is just so uppermost in my, I was going to say mind, but it's more in my heart. Just to every day get into the habit of asking ourselves what we need, and listening for what that answer is. We all do know somewhere deep within what we want from this moment, how we want it to feel. And on the surface, it can feel like we don't know what we want, and we can feel like we're living kind of haphazardly, or we're just going about our business doing stuff, and none of it feels particularly meaningful to us. And we feel crowded and overwhelmed, and our time is sort of taken up with duties and responsibilities. We've got to go to work, we've got to walk our dog, we've got to look after our children, we've got to clean the house. There's just a million things. And how do we, in the midst of all of that, get a sense of what we need, and how we can, in very, very simple ways, give that to ourselves? And for me, it's so simple. I just stop when I feel that momentum sort of building up in me, and I feel triggered by everything, and I can feel the tone of my voice changing, and I can sense that my patience is really on a knife edge. Most people tend to just bluster through all of that, or hardly acknowledge it's there, and can eventually sort of come to a stage where they actually think that that's just how they are. Narky or moany or grumpy or short-tempered, or just all of these things as women that we can really snap into and be quite shocked at ourselves by. And I think this ties up really nicely with our inner voice, because I think as women, like I was saying last week, we do have this ability to be really cutting and be really accurate, but we can do it very unkindly. Like, I think that's probably where the whole term bitch came from, because we all know how to do that. we all get a sense of that feeling that for whatever reason it's there, but it's there to harness, and it's there as a sort of red flag that actually, where is your focus? Where is your sense of priority? What is it that you actually need when you feel yourself sort of responding to the moment from a place that's just icky? It's just, you don't like the way you feel, and you're in that feeling, and it's causing you to be unsettled. Um, and this is so prevalent, like when you've got children, and you can just feel so um, overwhelmed by how constant the day can be. I mean, I am at home all day with my children, so it's been like probably doubly important that I meditate and take that time and allow myself to acknowledge what I need and to actually be able to get that sometimes, or in fact every time, because as I've realised, um, it's just about coming back to yourself. It's just about slowing down and breathing, even sort of touching yourself, holding yourself. Like, I really do that now. It's taken a long time to just be at home in my body and to realise that we're like codependent and we coexist, and I can't be me without this body, and this body really needs me in order to be at its fullest potential. And when we are listening to ourselves, life, um, at least for me and in my sort of spiritual life, it just becomes so much easier and more joyful, and is less frantic. Um, and I shared in my recent blog posts some of the, well, a very specific example of what I did the other day when I was starting to sort of race through my life and my chores and my to-dos and what I needed to try and fit in that day. And I was starting to get really stuck in my head. And I can always see it now. I can see when it's starting to bubble up. And I just love to notice that and just go the complete opposite direction with it. And it's become a bit of a thing now for me. I'm quite defiant about it when it comes up. I don't care what the thing is that I'm meant to be doing or where I'm meant to be. If I can't take 5 or 10 minutes just to come back to myself and reassess how I'm going to go into the world and into that situation that's waiting for me, or that person that's waiting for me, if I can't take my best self out into those situations, I don't really want to even go. And I think that's why for so long in my own life, I didn't really want to do stuff that involved being around people too much, because I wasn't feeling good inside. And when you come up against the world and other people and you're not in your own centre, then it is kind of painful, because we're distracted, we're disorientated, we notice all the wrong things, we get caught up in sort of our ego, our need, our insecurity, um, and it's not a good place to be. And I think we all kind of know that. We can probably all think of occasions where we just didn't want to be where we were, and I just feel like my entire life now is about wanting to be where I am, and actually not wanting another life, not even another version of my life, not the life of anyone else. I just want to have exactly what this moment has given me. I want to work with the life that I have got right now. Um, and that's so powerful for me, because it brings me back into my own power. It lets me know that yes, I'm here in this moment, and this is the one. This is the place, and everything that around me. These are my tools. These are the things that I can utilize. Um, and we do get so distracted by everything that life can tempt us with and offer to us, and convince us that we need in place of what we've actually got. Um, and I'm really centered on just being with what I feel, and it's not to say that I don't have aspirations. I think gathering is one of those things that um, I've taken years to figure out that this is where I needed to be. I've always had a sense of I want to connect with other women. I want to enable myself. I want to heal myself. I want to feel empowered within myself. I want to feel at home. I just want to feel at home with myself. And it's become so unavoidable. Like I think after I became a mother, just was so filled with this sense of how fragile everything is and how time limited our lives are. And yeah, it's kind of horrifying to think about how long it's taken me to finally weave all these threads together. And I'm just at the beginning. Um, but I guess we always need what life's given us, and we need it to have taken as long as it's taken. I think sometimes we get really stuck in that. Oh, it's too late. I'm too old. I missed all the opportunities that were presented to me. But that's like a whole other thing. We could probably talk forever on it. um, but I thought that that was a really important thing for me to speak about tonight. This sense of what I need, because it's something that I have to come back to every single day, and most moments of most days. And it's one of the most important things that I want to sort of get across to people is that this idea of giving ourselves what we need is actually so basic. Um, Once we're slowing down enough, like this woman said, once we slow down enough to just hear our inner child, hear that little girl in us, the one that at some point was completely free of all these things that now impinge on our sense of freedom or our sense of autonomy or our sense of who we actually are. I do talk to people who just feel completely lost. They want to know what they want to do, but they don't. And they want to feel differently, but they don't know how. And I think that's why my training as a psychotherapist has become part of my journey as well, because I felt all those things for the longest time, and I think you have to sort of suffer it in order to heal and to be able to help other people. And really, I think they're kind of the best people to take guidance and support and inspiration from. But yeah, my sister and I are becoming, or my sister's ahead of me. She's almost there with her psychotherapy training and person-centered therapy. And I think it's the most deeply rewarding thing that I can do with another human being is just be in their presence and connect with them and hold that space for them, possibly a space that they've never felt before, a space where they feel um, free of judgment and are have a real, over time, a real deep sense of being unconditionally loved and being held in, a really positive regard, and feeling heard, feeling listened to, um, and just being allowed to be as you are. And I think that's where hearing your own voice really starts to powerfully come through. And sometimes for some of us, we do need that extra wee bit of support because we've never really had it or felt it. And we can't build, well, we do build from nothing, but the foundations have got to be right. And I guess if the foundation's a bit rocky or there's things sort of completely missing there, then we need to acknowledge that and be able to figure out a way to give it to ourselves. And very often it involves a lot of support. And I definitely feel that even in just this training that my sister and I are doing, it's that in itself, the rigor of that the extent to which you have to be vulnerable and which you have to sort of risk yourself in order to feel what it is to have people genuinely be there for you. And I think vulnerability is the sort of thing that most people really have quite a strong aversion to. We're trying to keep ourselves safe, and quite rightly. But once our defences are down, but our ability to protect ourselves in the right way is strong and we know our boundaries, life can really shift. And I just want and hope, I just want and I pray and I hope that this can be the beginning for a lot of women. Um, the gathering specifically, I mean, I know it's my new beginning in a way because I've been calling out for this for so long, just um, to feel that the purpose of my life is deeply aligned with my desires as the day unfolds. And it does feel like that now, and it's still a lot of hard work, I guess, because I don't really do know all the technical stuff, but I've had to build my own website and figure out how to um, do code for it for my website and all of that kind of stuff, and all the email lists and broadcasts and all this stuff that part of me just wants to crawl under a rock and never have to face. And I do secretly dream of a time when has expanded to the stage where I can hopefully get some help with it, and can justify having somebody there to support me, especially on that side of it. Um, so I'm just realizing that I've barely touched this, and I can't bear to have it go cold. I enjoy it when it's hot. Mm. So really, I think what's been on my mind this week is just wondering how your week has been, and I was hoping that you could share it with me, whether it's emailing me or leaving a wee comment underneath once this finishes, because I genuinely do want to know what's coming up for you, what your experience is of um, these live um, broadcasts, and anything that you would like to see them have. Structurally, even is there some way that you would prefer it to be? Do you like to start with a meditation, or would you prefer ending with that? There's just so many questions I've got, and the best way for me to build this as a place that you love to come to is for me to really, really hear what you're feeling about it, and where you think it needs help. Obviously, chief amongst my list of things that I really want to sort is this webcam, which isn't even a webcam specifically. It's part of this laptop that's really old. Um, and the light's going down again. I'm so bad at remembering to put the light on. Um, but yeah, I wanted just to make sure that everybody was aware that checking in with me and letting me know um, just just randomly, how is your week going? Is anything coming up for you? Is there anything that I've said that I've hit on that you would actually like a bit more development in, even within connecting with the song? I don't know how many of you are um, working through that just now. Um, but connecting with the song is probably just going to be my signature course that always remains free. And as you know, it's kind of self-paced, so you can just do it as and when. Um, and I feel like I put all the elements into that that could be the foundation really for all the other offshoots that gatherings going to hopefully take. I've got loads of ideas and things that I really, really want to bring to you. So um, it's just building a bit of momentum and trying to figure all this stuff out as I go. And as my husband said, he said this yesterday because I was feeling quite stressed out and I was having some technical issue. Um, and he pointed out the irony of there's no point in you burning out, doing the one thing that's meant to encourage serenity and calm in you. And the irony is really not kind of lost in me, but I guess the main thing that I do in my day is try to catch myself and try to hold myself accountable. Um, and I think there's a lot of discipline in my life now where there hadn't been. The discipline to sit down and do a meditation, the discipline to sit with myself when I don't like how I'm feeling, the discipline to um, move into a challenge that I'm having with my child rather than draw back or switch off or become unconscious and just get a bit sloppy with myself. And a big thing that I've been doing over the last month is it's really getting seriously dark in here. I'm going to switch the light on just in case none of you can see me. So, one of my friends said she loved how I would go away to switch the light on, but it's really not deliberate. I'm just really forgetful. Also, I meant to say, I don't know if anyone could hear. There was a guy passing outside the window when we were doing our meditation, and I hear him every night. And my sister knows this. He's just has the most random chat, and his voice is so loud, and he's always saying something really disturbing. So what I heard there was saying something about hating birds, but he always has some sort of woman hater vibe going on. It's you know, it's actually quite funny if it wasn't so distressing. I don't quite know what's going on with him. But that was strange that that happened when we were doing that, and I wondered if you could hear. Now, I don't even know what I was talking about when I went to switch the light on. But yeah, I think the big thing for me is just accepting where I am in the moment and not fighting against it. And I think I did this in really subtle ways when I was in my 20s. And I read so many books that sort of encouraged that. The Law of Attraction and Esther and Jerry Hicks. I don't know if anyone's read the Abraham stuff. That was really intense. And there's so, and I love Louise Hay as well. Um, so many people, and Tony Robbins was obviously what probably started me off in this. Eckhart Tolle, I'm never sure how his surname's pronounced. And all these kind of people, and they all do kind of say that to fight against the moment is will only give you more of what you don't want. And it seems really counterintuitive because we get a bit confused about, well, I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want that thing to happen. But the irony is, in the not wanting it, that's where the strong vibration was. And so, even in the not wanting, you were still asking for it, because you were so, all your energy, all your belief was behind that feeling. And I think we kind of know this is true kind of deep down because um, we always kind of end up getting what we wanted or didn't want, but it always kind of ends up that way. Um, I had a really amazing thing happen recently, and I hadn't been on Instagram. I'd really pulled back from it because I'd had a bit of a horrible incident on there. Um, and I was just figuring out, did I want to be on there? Did it feel good? And I just let myself sort of pull back from it a little bit. But by the time that I'd done all of the building of She of the Wilds and Gathering, and I'd written the course, I thought, no, I do love Instagram, and I love sharing pictures from my day, and I find it really inspirational watching other people's lives. And I love what people narrate under their pictures as well. I'm quite into that. Um, so anyway, I'd gone back onto Instagram and sort of changed things about a bit, and there was a friend request or a follow request from somebody who I didn't know, and I went and had a quick look at her profile and added her. She's really interested in life, and it was all lovely, and I was really enjoying her pictures and stuff. And she had just put up a post about having a really hard time on Instagram and having a really heavy heart about it and feeling really sad and conflicted and needing to tighten up her sense of what was safe and how to protect herself. And I thought, how timely, I'm back on here with that exact fear and concern, and here she is talking about it, and she was asking to be my friend. I don't know why, but on a more fundamental level, I kind of do, because I was crying out for something that would make some sense of, what I'd been through, and to let me know that everything was okay. It was okay for me to be back there. And I was scrolled down. I must have been way, way down on her feed, just liking any pictures that I saw. And then I noticed a necklace that I really wanted. That's part of the woman that designs them is called Kim Wildthorn, and her her company's called Wildthorn Jewels, I think, and she does custom or bespoke sort of items for the Fierce Grace Collective, which I'm part of. And this is one of the necklaces that I bought while I was doing Dance of the Poet, which was all about unleashing your creativity. And I actually launched Sheave the Wilds just after I'd done that month. And anyway, there was another necklace that I really wanted to get, but they're really, well, they're quite expensive, and I thought, I can't justify that. I've just bought one, but I really liked this other one that had come up. It was sort of metal circle, an iron. It might even have been an iron circle, and it was to symbolise the circle of women. And I knew I had to have it. I can't quite remember all of the different things that she'd written about it in this, how symbolic it was, but I just loved the description and I knew that I wanted it. But I'd kind of just let it go because to my mind, I wasn't going to get it. But I think the desire to want it was stronger. So, long story short, in fact, it's just a long story. I saw this necklace on her feed as I'd gone way, way down, and I just commented underneath, "Oh, I've been wanting that in white leather because there's a white leather strap that you can get it with." And she just messaged me straight back saying, "I've sent you a private message," which I'd never had before on Instagram, so I actually couldn't find it. I couldn't find how to read the message. But in the message, she said, "So sorry that you'd been having a hard time as a result of Instagram. I know how it feels. Please accept this necklace on my behalf." And I thought, I can't possibly take that. But in tandem with that, I'm thinking, this is so powerfully aligned with where I am right now. And this one woman, for some reason, has come out of nowhere. She lives in America. She doesn't know me. We would have no other way of knowing each other, but for this random friend request, and the whole thing just seemed so strange, but also it was just so comforting. It felt like this big neon sign that I was on track and everything was okay. And it's actually been a while since I've had anything like that, and I know they call it synchronicity or synchrodestiny, Deepak Chopra. I think that was actually the first book I read as a teenager, Synchrodestiny by Deepak Chopra. But anyway, this woman was intent on giving me a necklace. She was stocking them in her art studio, and didn't, you know. Anyway, I had contacted her and said, "At least let me pay for the postage if it's not coming all the way from America," and she wouldn't have that either. So I am being gifted this incredible necklace, and once it arrives, I'll show it to you. But I think it was just a lovely omen that I was here and I was finally doing this stuff, and that I was sort of on track and in my power, and that actually when you are in that place, um, life kind of just effortlessly responds to you. Um, and I think that's where I am right now. The struggles, the fight, the drama, it all seems to just ebb away. and I can see how much of my experiencing of life has got to do with me. Regardless of how it comes at me, regardless of how strong the person, the environment, the situation, it still comes back to me, and I love that now. I love that now. I love that sense of responsibility, um, because I get to be deeply authentic in that. I get to choose my deep yes. And I can't remember who talks about the deep yes. I'll need to try and find who that person is, but um, I love the idea of the deep yes, which is basically just that sense of yes to this moment, yes to my feelings, yes to my life, um, with no exceptions. And knowing in that deep yes that it gives you everything, that there's nothing that you have to worry about, because you're you, and that's the only thing that will ever keep you kind of safe, I guess, as a person. So I think I've been rabbiting for like an hour now, and I should probably really stop. But um, I was just really feeling on a roll because the girls are fast asleep, and I'm in the living room tonight, which is right above their bedroom, and sometimes that can distract them. So it's actually a bit of a celebration that I've slept through it, because it means I can do stuff in here a lot more, and with a better camera, because this grainy night vision look is not good, for like the century that we're living in. So I thought to finish, if you're keen, we could try this. I have, oh, the book's left downstairs, but I know what I'm doing anyway. We just come cross-legged. Find yourself a comfortable spot, and I want you to. You can lie down if that felt nicer, or you can sit. And if you're sitting, bring your arms up, and imagine with your arms up, just sort of like, I don't know if you did ballet as a child, but like that. Hands don't, not touching, just about a foot width apart, and just hold your arms up. Now this actually might be quite challenging, because you might start to feel it, feel the burn. Um, but hold your arms up there. Not right now. Don't do. I'll let you know when to start. And just imagine while you're doing this, while you're holding your arms up here, that you have the entire universe held within your arms, and it's all above you, and it's all within you. And you, while you're doing this, just imagine how unfathomably vast the universe is, and remember that you are too. So we're keeping our arms up like that. And as we do that, I'm going to sing a mantra. Now, the mantra is the one that we do to tune in, this Om Namo Gurudev Namo. And I don't know if you know, but Om Namo means I bow to the subtle divine wisdom. So, really, the wisdom of the universe. And the final bit, this Gurudev Namo, is I bow to the divine teacher within. So we're looking to both of these things, and remembering that they're all here within us and for us. And I'm just going to sing it for a couple of minutes, and hold your arms up as long as you can. Try and keep your focus on that sense of the subtle divine wisdom of the universe and the divine teacher within, and connecting these two things together to bring your inner voice, and to bring that sense of who you really are out into the world. And I think that does help us give a sense of what we need and how to go about getting it. So here we go. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om And breathe. And I hope your arms aren't killing you. But I did this, something similar to this, and it actually made me cry. I don't know why. I just got really overwhelmed and I was really overcome with emotion. Um, just by really tuning in and really tuning into the voice of the person that was singing it, and it just felt so lovely. So I just wanted to give you that. I know I've kept you here really long this evening, and I hope that that was possibly a nice and relaxing way to end our our call this evening. So I'm wishing you a wonderful weekend and a peaceful week next week. And I will be in touch about next Friday. Okay, night, chickens.